Good morning, good morning. It is Monday morning, and I thought I would do a little bit of a different kind of morning routine video for this week. I really want to get back into writing in the mornings. I sometimes do, but I honestly just really like to have super chill, slow mornings, and often that means just sitting and reading. However, life is very, very busy right now, and I don't want to lose the momentum that I currently have when it comes to writing, so I want to do at least an hour of writing every morning. And I thought I would take you along and show you how I do that. This is how I write when I'm working really hard on trying to get a project done, or I'm just like in a really big writing rush. It's also how I used to work when I worked a 9 to 5 that didn't necessarily have the culture of work that allowed you to take a lunch hour. I don't know if you've ever worked in those types of offices before, but I certainly have. And so I haven't always been able to write on my lunch hour. So I thought I would take you along on my mornings this week and update you on my progress when it comes to writing and maybe reading, because I'm reading something really exciting. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just a little bit on what I'm currently writing. I finished my big edit of my first book, and this is my final edit, I should say, and it is the final edit before I either hire an editor or acquire an editor and have them look at it and rip it apart. So I'm not by any stretch done with that book. There's still a lot of writing that needs to be done with that, I'm sure, but I am not looking at it until a professional looks at it. So what I'm doing now is I'm currently working on the second book. I'm currently working on the second book, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to work on it. I don't know if I'm going to write it to completion. We will see. I just want to get as many words down as possible on this draft so that I have a sequel in place. And I just really love writing this story, so I want to focus on that this week and just keep that momentum up. I have the story fresh in my mind from my edit, so we will see how far we've got. What I was able to accomplish today was the first line of the book, mainly. I did write a prologue. It's by no means perfect. I will probably work on that throughout the week and just try to get it as crisp as possible, but I have the first line of the second book and I love it, and I love the idea of the prologue. We will see how far I am able to get in this coming week. I am so excited. It is going to be a crazy, crazy week, and I think writing in the morning will just make me feel so much better about my progress, and we will see. I am so excited. I cannot wait. Now, for another really awesome thing, I am currently reading, you know, those books that are so near and dear to your heart, you can't really talk about them properly. That is this series for me. I am rereading this series for the third time, might I add, and I just like, I love it. I love it so much. This is the Glass Alliance series. The first book is called Dark of the West, and it's by Joanna Hathaway, and I randomly picked this book up at a bookstore, just randomly. Like, I didn't do any research about it online. I just saw the cover, picked it up, read the blurb, and thought, oh, that might be interesting. Bought it because, frankly, it was on sale, and then immediately fell in love with it from the prologue. Like, the prologue alone is phenomenal. It essentially follows a pilot whose father is a revolutionary and a princess whose mother is kind of entangled in the politics of the world, and it is set in a fantastical world that is essentially on the brink of war. And the war feels very much inspired by the First and the Second World War. I think there are elements of both wars within this story, and it is just so phenomenally written. I don't think I've ever read a YA book quite like this. There's just something about the prose that feels so crisp and It just jumps from the page, and the characters are so three-dimensional and beautiful, and you feel for them, and the story is heart-wrenching, and it breaks your heart. It like literally rips my heart from my chest, tears it apart in front of me, puts it back together, and then gives it back to me. That is what I feel like this book series does to me, and I am currently reading the second book, Storm from the East. I'm just over the halfway mark. I was able to make that today, this morning, and I really want to get through as much as possible of this series before my camping trip, because I don't want to do that thing where you're going away and you are like halfway through a book, and so you're like, how many books do I bring? I did that last time when I went to Ottawa, and I ended up bringing not enough books. I ran out of books, but that's okay because I came home with an insane amount of books because we went shopping. So that's what I'm currently reading, and I honestly cannot recommend it enough. It just breaks my heart in the best way. This is probably my favorite YA series of all time. So good. So that being said, I hope you are cozy. I hope you are ready to see how far I get in this week of writing in the morning and reading in the morning and just having calm mornings before crazy days. And I am sure I will check back in. So get cozy and let's get to it. I had a mug like this that was a snail mug, and I broke it doing the dishes. And I was so devastated, and I was like embarrassed about how devastated I was because it was like my fun morning mug, and it just like meant a lot to have my coffee in it. So Tom surprised me with this cat mug, and now it's my favorite mug. like it's super fitting to start a update about writing in the morning with a big yawn, which is what I just did. But I wanted to jump on here and give a little bit of an update of what I was able to get through this morning. So I'm sure you've picked up by now, I usually spend an hour reading and then an hour writing. And the one thing that I do every single morning, always without fail, is read. Like, I read for at least an hour every single morning. It's how I wake up, and it's just like a really good way to start my day. And I used to think that I wasn't able to do it because I'm very sleepy in the morning, but once you get into the habit of it, your brain wakes up pretty quickly. Sorry, my cat was just about to walk on my mirror, which is not secured to the wall, and gave me a little bit of a heart attack. Boy, oh boy, am I reading a great book. I am more than halfway through. As you can see, I have like a little chunk left to go, and it is flying by. I feel like all I can say is that I just truly and deeply love this series. And I realized this morning that the book is really about like what war does to people, both individual people and people in general. And it has this like scope that balances with the minute details and the minute characters, and it's so terrific. I'm at a part now where war has begun, and our two main characters have gone through hell. Basically, they both have gone through hell, and they are reuniting for the first time, and there's still secrets between them, and it's just gonna all come to a head soon and rip us apart again, and I'm so very excited for that. So that is what I'm reading, and I'm really hoping that I can finish it. I think I'll be able to maybe finish it today. And in terms of my writing, I am struggling a little bit. I am struggling because I wrote a big chunk of the second book, but I kept getting lost. I would write and then I would get lost and I wouldn't know where to take the story. And yeah, I don't know. I think I want to get my characters to a point, but I don't know how to get them to that point. So I think what I'm going to do starting tomorrow is I'm just going to get to that point. Like, I'm just going to write the point and then I'll fill in the nitty-gritty of the beginning later, because the beginnings for me have always been the most difficult part. It's when the action picks up where it's easier to write. So I think that's just what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to start in the action and then reverse from there. Thank you so much for watching. One thing that I really just want to briefly talk about, I think it's super, super important. It's something that I've been thinking about while filming this, and to be honest, I've been hesitant to make a video like this because I didn't want to present the same kind of productivity culture video that I feel like exists on the internet. I didn't want it to come off as like, I'm working so hard for my dream, and if you are not working hard, then you don't deserve your dream. I think that there are so many like 5 a.m. productive morning routines on YouTube, and I think those are great, don't get me wrong, but I also think that for some people they're quite triggering and quite upsetting, and they bring a lot of guilt. You know, people say, oh, I wish I could do that. And I think for me personally, I am not a morning person. I don't always wake up and write. I really don't. The only reason why I'm doing it this week, or the only reason why I do it, is because sometimes I know I won't be able to get to my lunch hour, and it is really important for me to write every single day. But I know that when I don't feel the best in my writing, or if I don't, there are times when I don't feel like I'm giving my all to my writing, and that comes with so much guilt. And I want this to serve as a reminder that no one can tell you how much you want your dream or how much you love your dream. Our creativity, just like anything else in our lives, can become incredibly toxic when we pile on our self-worth with it. And I want to be very clear, I am not speaking from a place of enlightenment. I do not have it all figured out. You know, I love the idea of a tortured artist, but only in art and in stories and not in reality. I think that there is a lot of conversation out there of you gotta work and you gotta work really hard and you gotta sacrifice everything and then you'll get your goal. And I guess for some people that's true, but I know for me personally, if I publish my book or get published when I'm in my 50s, I'm not gonna look back and think I have failed at any stretch of this journey. I know when I'm 50 and my book is out in the world, I'm gonna be so jazzed, and I'm actually probably gonna look back at all of the hard work that I put into it and the fact that I didn't give up. And I will also know that I didn't sacrifice myself for it, that I took my time because it was all that I could give. There was a time in my life when I would never wake up before 7 and write. I couldn't. I was in a very poor place mentally and it just wouldn't happen. There's no way. I was totally like, I need to take care of myself. And I also didn't have the ability to take a lunch hour at work, so I couldn't write during the day at all. And so the only time that I could write was Sunday afternoons. And that came with so much guilt because I felt like I wasn't working hard enough. I felt like, you know, I should be up till 2 a.m. every night working. And there are so many stories of people that do that easily make you feel guilty. But guess what? I finished my book. I finished my book writing only every Sunday, and I am damn proud of Megan for being able to do that. And I do not think about all the times I didn't write. I think about the times that I did write. And that is truly what is the most important part of this all. I really just want to give you permission to love your creativity and to love your creative time. And I want you to know that it is okay if you're not giving your all the time, because I'm sure that there are so many things preventing so many people from pursuing their dream, whatever that may be. You know, if it's socioeconomic status or work or family or actual gatekeeping within whatever industry you're trying to break into, these things exist and they're incredibly real. And the world does not want you to create. It does not want you to create. It wants you to produce work. And so there are so many lies that we are told and that we tell ourselves about productivity and worthiness, and just throw that all out the window because it just isn't real. Every morning when I sit down to chat, I always look up and I can see the faintest little blip of the moon, and it's so nice. I was feeling so dejected this morning when I woke up. I did not sleep well last night at all. It was so warm in our bedroom, so then I went to sleep on the couch, and then it was freezing all night and I was tossing and turning. So I really didn't think that I was gonna want to wake up and write today. And on top of that, I feel like I've been feeling really confused and lost, and like I didn't have as much work done on the second book as I wanted to. But to be honest, when I sat down to write today, I realized I was in a really good place. Which is so funny because it's one of those things where I build up so much anxiety in my head about what I need to do. And then when I sit down to do it, it's totally fine. So I don't know if there's a life lesson in that, but I'm sure that there is. That being said, just a little bit of a writing update. This morning, I was able to work through a good chunk of it. My whole goal for this week was to get through 2 scenes. And in my mind, I thought that meant actively writing 2 scenes, but I wrote quite a bit of the beginning of the first book already, and I guess I just haven't worked on it in so long, and I forgot how much I've actually written. My progress this week so far, it is Wednesday morning, is I wrote the prologue, which I hadn't written before. This was a completely new thing. I actually didn't have a prologue at all, but a prologue idea came to me and I wrote that. And then I reorganized and got through, I guess I had written about 8 chapters, which is crazy to me because I don't have any memory of them. They're not all usable because I am going to change them up a little bit. So I was able to organize, I think, about 4 chapters. And again, these are chapters that I've already written. So for me, I was just kind of like reading through them and then changing a certain plot point that I wanted to change and just tightening everything up, because what happens when I write is I write quite a bit and then I have to go back and fix it up. So I'm in a really good place. I feel really good about it. I just have one more day. I'm going to write tomorrow morning. If I were to stop today, I would be really happy. And I am glad that I forced myself to open up my computer today, because I think I would have built it up so much in my head that I probably wouldn't have wanted to write tomorrow. And then I would have gone a whole weekend, a whole long weekend, because I'm going camping, just stressing about where I am. So I feel like I'm in a really good place. In terms of reading updates, I don't know why it's taking me so long to get through this. I didn't read last night after work at all. I really wanted to. I read my Jane Austen pages after work instead of sitting down with this. I couldn't. I just can't. I can't even talk about it. I just can't talk about it eloquently. I can't say anything more. I just love this book. I love this book series so very much. I love these 2 characters, and I just can't stop thinking about it. And it's just making this week so much better to have such a good book. I will say this, it is incredibly rare for me to have a series where every single book is 5 out of 5 stars, but this book holds up to the first one. And the first book, to me, is one of the most perfect books I've ever read. So I am elated that I'm reading this series this week. It's just so good. I honestly joke all the time that this is one of those books that makes me want to quit writing because I'll never write as good as this, but that's obviously not true. That is a joke. I do not think like that. Don't think like that yourself. If anything, it truly actually just inspires me to write so many. Anyway, I'm gonna stop raving about it because I feel like I've spoken about this book series so much in this video and I've been so vague about it, but dear God, pick it up. Please pick it up. I mean, I don't know. Read it. Read the description, and if it sounds like a book you'll like, pick it up. But I can't say enough about it. This is kind of random, but I bought some books for myself yesterday and I thought it would be really fun to do the miniest book haul. I was at work and then I went to the bookstore and I just felt like splurging a little bit. To be honest, I need to stop buying books. I've bought so many books this summer, but it's just been the summer of bookstores and I'm okay with it. And there's just so many amazing fantasy coming out and I just can't help myself. So, in no particular order, here are the books that I purchased yesterday. The first book is For the Throne. This is a sequel to For the Wolf. And I read For the Wolf in December, I think. I think it was the last book I read last year. It was either the last book I read last year or the first book I read this year. I can't remember. And it was really good. It was kind of like a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, but also there were a lot of like Beauty and the Beast elements, and it was incredibly atmospheric, and I love a good atmospheric book, and I'm hoping that this is very similar. The first book, the magic was like very elemental in the sense that it was very much like earth related and tree related and forest related, and I read it. I remember I was reading it during a snowstorm, and it was just like the perfect atmosphere. Now, do I think that these books are perfect? I don't remember if I gave it a 3, the first book. I don't know if I gave the first book a 3 out of 5 stars or a 4 out of 5 stars. They're definitely not perfect. I will read any Beauty and the Beast retelling, like literally any. You say Beauty and the Beast retelling, I'm gonna pick it up. Patina Gapa is a writer out of Zimbabwe, and she wrote, what was the Book of Memory was her first book. And I actually haven't read it, but I've heard amazing things about that book. And this is kind of like a historical fiction. It's based on a true story, but it's a novelized form of it, Out of Darkness, Shining Light. And to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about this. I just was recommended this book as a kind of exploration novel, adventure novel, but like with really crisp, clear writing. And so I'm really excited to read that. And then the second book, or the third book that I picked up is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I loved Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. That was, I believe, her first fantasy book. I think that was her first book. And it was just so good. I loved the magic. I loved her writing. I loved the characters. And I remember there was like a moment in that book within the love story where I like sighed. Like I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So when I saw this on the shelf, I was like, yes, please. I will read anything she writes at this point. So what is this about? So this is about a princess and a maidservant. I believe the maidservant possesses a secret kind of hidden magic that is forbidden, and the princess is under arrest by her dictator of a brother. And the maidservant witnesses something about the princess that is supposed to be secret. It's very vague, and they basically go on a quest together to overthrow their empire. So that's all I know, but that's really all I need to know, because honestly, Tasha Suri is a terrific, fantastical writer, and I'm really excited to read this. And I also love a good like beginning of a thick fantasy series. And then the next book is book 1 of a trilogy as well, and it's another fantasy. And honestly, I'm just here for it. I'm here for like all of the amazing sounding fantasies that are out in the world right now. This is about a criminal who saves the life of a cowardly prince and draws the attention of his powerful father, the Sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp that has the power to revive the barren land at the cost of sacrificing all jinn. And honestly, I'm here for like a fantasy that has jinn elements. I'm also a big fan of very powerful woman protagonists, and I'm just here for it. So I don't know anything about this one, honestly. I just kind of like briefly read the synopsis and saw the cover. Oh, I haven't even taken off the dust jacket yet. This is always exciting. What do you think it looks like? Ooh. So, needless to say, I think I am set for fantasy reads. I think I'm not allowed to buy any more books, but yeah, I'm just so excited to dive into all of these. I think I'm probably going to read, I mean, I don't know. Once I'm done this fantasy, I'm probably going to pick up one of these. Let's be real. I do think that I want to read fiction when I'm done, potentially. I might pick up a really exciting book. I'm not gonna talk about it because I might make a video of it. But that being said, I'm definitely gonna read one of those fantasies